the guru of Squad Double Zero, the assassin like no other. Yes, I'm the best at what I do. One of the most notorious in YouTube anime and manga community. Yeah, whatever, that didn't come off the best, doesn't matter. I'm back, baby. My channel, for those who don't know, going through preparing for transitional period, but whatever. You know, more content coming out once again. It's been a little while, a little minute. And this is a video, this specific video has been supposed to come out like for about 2 years now, straight up. And I know I've been neglecting gaming content. I love me some video gaming too, you know, and not as much as I used to for some reasons I'll deal with in later videos. But this specific video, why Nintendo has failed. It's when you hear me, listen, actually listen, because I know Nintendo fanboys and fanboys of video gaming may start getting butthurt or whatever. Actually listen to the arguments and the perspectives, what I drop, the knowledge I drop, okay, and see if you can thus then refute it. Or, if you're like a lot of people, you'll actually agree with me. Even Nintendo fans can probably agree with what the hell I'm actually saying. I'm not saying Nintendo's irrelevant. I'm not saying Nintendo is not capable of putting forth great games. In fact, you will see some of the frustration I have as a video game fan. But before we begin with the why it has failed, doesn't mean it can't come up, but why it has failed, let's begin with the antithesis of the argument. Why Nintendo should have succeeded. Why it should have. And in fact it did for a relative decent amount of time, I suppose, in this modern era, if you want to go that route. Why it was succeeding in the golden age of video gaming, and why it fell off. Beginning with point number one, it is in the heartland of video gaming. Okay? It is in Japan. It is in Japan, and as my Espanol speaking friends, my Spanish speaking friends would say, the Japanese. They run it. Okay, they are the heart and soul, the core of video gaming. They have been for at least 3 decades. And look, it doesn't matter if you bring up the States, talking about United States, America, whatever you want to call it, Korea or anywhere else, South Korea, anywhere else worldwide. Who can truly compete with Japan when it comes to video gaming? Please inform me with some factual knowledge. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's Japan and everybody else. It's almost like within manga sales, it's One Piece and then everybody else. Okay? That's just how it is. Doesn't mean people can't have a successful franchise, but show me the companies that can compete in general with these Japanese companies that has survived for long periods of time. Because they may have had a high, they may have had some booming sales for a while, but then what happens? What happens? They start trying to pull what some of these Japanese companies do, these long drawn out franchise titles, and they don't pan out. They don't pan out. So Nintendo and Sony were in the heartland. So that's a leg up already. So the true competition should have been with Sony. But then here comes point number 2. Tradition, legacy. Nintendo, one may say adopted, inherited, I'm not sure what's the exact words, but they already had Sega, Capcom, and those other, you know, I don't know if you want to say companies, titles, or whatever. They got those before Sony, before any other council and other such thing, at least in a popular facet. I mean, we had online and vaguely, but it was nothing serious. You been had the Sega Genesis and a whole other consoles. I know you had Atari and everything else. Inherited stuff. I mean, the fact is, you had iconic figures and characters such as Mario and Donkey Kong. Now, he went by other names in previous decades, but still, you inherited that. You had the blessing of such characters. Not only are you in the heartland of video gaming, you have such iconic characters. You have the tradition set for you, and then eventually, if I'm not mistaken, you had Sonic the Hedgehog, another iconic character, and you had icons come out of it. Point number 3, you flourished, rose to dominance, and some may argue supremacy in the first half of the golden age of video gaming. And I will talk more about that in a specific later video on what the golden age of video gaming is. But pretty much by my marker, it is 1995 to 2010. And there are reasons for that. Some may argue before, some may say we're not. But if you look at the facts and all of the criteria of what a golden age is, 95 to 2010 hit that perfectly. Beginning with the PS1, then you have the N64 drop in 96, if I'm not mistaken. So you had these elements, okay? Supremacy. I mean, everything was set up for the complete and utter dominance. And so, when I say supremacy, I'm talking about control over video gaming. Which there shouldn't have been a console war, specifically between the PlayStation and was PS2 at the time, and then the Xbox, and then eventually later a bit the PS3 and the 360, or you could say the PS2 and then 360 and the PS3 came later. It's, you know, that again, I'll talk about the console wars in a specific separate video later on down the line. But you had this. There shouldn't have been no console war, period. Nintendo was set up to run the game, run the system, and run the industry. That didn't happen. Here's why. 3 reasons as to why they failed. Point number 1. Nintendo stopped being revolutionary. They did. The last revolutionary device, greatness, that Nintendo dropped was the Game Boy Advance. Somebody, what? Hear me out. Nintendo came in with the heavy gun hitter. With the N64, Nintendo 64. Anyone who knows, anyone who had kids during that time, anyone who was growing up during that time, anyone who was somewhere in that, knew the N64. That was the first heavy-hitting device anyone happened. Even though the PS1 came out, or just PlayStation back then, came out during 95, it wasn't until 99, 2000 that a lot of kids started getting that. The 64 was well established. It was cheap. You had games for days. Classic games. GoldenEye from James Bond. You had Super Smash Brothers. You had so many. You had Mario Party and you had so much going for it. Okay. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the N64. Then let's just go to the portable, because it was running. It ran, and arguably it has had the greatest, at least succession, of personal playing devices, portable gaming devices. I argue the greatest one of all time, and I'll tell you what that is momentarily. But first we have the Game Boy. Revolutionized. Because now you don't have to go to the arcade. Now you don't have to have a console. Now you have this device, and you could play. Okay, and it's still excellent, and it had longevity like hell. Like, you could literally, I was playing the Game Boy decade plus down the line, whenever it was, right? My brother's old one. So you had this device, and then they came by and dropped Game Boy Color. Oh my, yo. So now these kids can have portable devices. Game Boy Color was so revolutionary. Now it just seems like, really? We got the DS and everything else, the PSP and all these other devices. But at the time, you gotta understand, there was nothing like it on the market. Nothing like it at all. Zero. Zilch. You talk about monopolizing the market, okay? This is what it was. And it wasn't like they were trying to monopolize. It was just a spontaneous, original monopoly, okay? And with the color, you could actually see, Mario in color. You could see Donkey Kong and Yoshi, Toad, and whoever else. Princess Peach, whoever you want to name it, in color. In color? What? You could actually somewhat see, actually now, the character, because at times with the Game Boy, it was black and white. It was at times hard, man. It was hard. I'm not gonna front. It was hard. So this was great. And then they dropped that little light or whatever. They dropped the light. So now you could see at night. Kids could play at night on the road when it was dark, instead of just having to put it away and you got like an hour or two to travel. You can actually play. Keeps the kids quiet. Great for the parents. But it was excellent. You could beat games faster and you name it. And then the greatest personal playable device, I could say, for game, as far as video game is concerned, was the Game Boy Advance. Hands down. Changed everything. The Advance changed everything. Now, for those who are young and don't really understand the significance of time, the amount of games you could play, like never before. The graphics on the game, on point. The stories on the game were often on point. You could do so much, like Game Boy Advance, and unlike in days past, years past, you had the Game Boy games and the Game Boy Color games, like this block, like this rectangular block that was about yay big and about this wide. With Game Boy Advance, it was like this big and this big, man. The Game Boy itself was also condensed. I mean, the Game Boy itself was just kind of like brick. It wasn't like a huge, like the old brick cell phones. For those, go back, Google that junk in the 80s and 90s. But this junk was a brick. Okay, the color actually slimmed down, but it was still this rectangular thing. The way the Game Boy Advance was set up, it wasn't like this kind of vertical. It was horizontal. It was easier to grab. It's easier to handle. Player friendly. It was so simple. It's the most simplified gaming system I've ever come across, probably, besides Atari's joystick controllers. Which it doesn't get simpler than a joystick and possibly pressing a button. It doesn't get simpler than that, really. Okay. Or besides the steering wheel, but, whatever. The Game Boy Advance was simple. The games were on point. Graphics were on point. The Advance revolutionized. Because Advance held on for the longest before the rest of these systems kicked up and booted up, right? Without the Advance, I don't know where portable gaming would be. It would have been a novelty item, most likely, at best. It would have been a historical thing. But the Advance traversed generations. It got a generation of kids into video gaming. It was essential to the golden age of video gaming. Because without it, okay, you did have the 64, the PlayStation, the PS2, then the Xbox. And of course you had your PC gamers who have always been and will always be as long as games and PC make. You feel me? But the portable gaming, a lot of people aren't into console games, and not everybody's into PC gaming for a lot of reasons. The portable game, anybody and everybody, including adults, could be in that joke. You could have someone who's a jet setter, someone who's constantly traveling on somebody on vacation, somebody just anywhere. It will allow for that kind of capability, because back in the day, consoles, all these cords, all these, pretty much a system, it's hard as hell to bring it. This little device. And it was inexpensive, really. Games were inexpensive. It was just beautiful. It was the essence of what video gaming was during that age. Freedom. Okay? Freedom is so much more. But then after that, where the hell's the revolution? Where the hell's the revolution? Look, the Wii, and then the Wii U, come on, yes. The DS, really, they make it all fancy. They try to, but the DS has done nothing significant besides a couple little tweaks. It doesn't compete with the PSP. I mean, seriously. On a serious note, does the DS compete with the PSP? It's become kid friendly, and I'll get to, that's the third. No, that's actually the second point about the whole focus and shift from demographic. But doggone, the Wii had so much potential. It had to where it was supposed to be with camera technology, and where it's kind of like, what's the word? It was huge back in the 90s and early 2000s. or at least late 90s, where you kind of, your actions are monitored and you totally react. Now you do have that sort of kind of with that little Wii control, but it's whack, man. It's whack. It was supposed to be like a camera and you focus. Let's say I'm actually throwing punches, I'm actually moving, I'm skating, I'm doing stuff. They were developing that tech and it was phenomenal. It would have skyrocketed the adventure genre, sports, pretty much every genre. We would be going to the next level instead of this current stagnation for the most part, except for a few franchises like Assassin's Creed, for example, like the God of War for a long while, except for a few of them. Okay, and I mean, of course, you got the first-person shooters, but without that kind of technology, it just shut off innovation. It shut off the revolutionary moment, and from that moment, when they pulled the plug on that, it was a done deal. It was, Nintendo lost its edge. It lost all the momentum that it had pushing for it. You don't make, especially when you made promises to do something you don't deliver. That's crap, man. That's just crap. Pure and simple. Point number 2. The fact is, there was no N64 2.0. I'm still waiting for an N64 2.0. In fact, I may actually become a Nintendo fan if they had a 2.0. And I'm not saying they need to drop an N64. Oh, they had the GameCube. The GameCube, I forgot about the GameCube. GameCube was nice. But they didn't, it was nice. That's all you can say about it. They had a couple good games. Super Smash Bros. Melee, which is legendary. Truly legendary. And a few other ones. But it was nothing like, you know, to super write home about when you had the whole console wars between the PS2 and the Xbox, and then the PS2 versus the Xbox 360, you had the PS3 versus the Xbox 360. When you in the middle of that console wars, now the GameCube, if it would have came out at an earlier date, oh, it would have been fire. It would have been fire. When I'm saying earlier date, before PlayStation 2 started becoming the number 1 console in history. Okay, and I have the N64 is number 2. Okay, so far, and I know there's been innovation. People are hyped about the PS4, the Xbox One, or whatever. But no, until longevity speaks, PlayStation 2, for a multitude of reasons, is the best gaming console in history. And as far as video gaming, and the N64 is a close second. Period, bar none. But when it comes to that, GameCube was as But here we go. Where is that next killer console? You know that the Wii has flopped. The Wii was a flop, and then you decided to pull the Wii 2. Pretty much. The Wii U, the Wii 2, whatever you want to call it, it was a major flop. Ain't nobody trying to buy that trash. Ain't nobody trying to buy it. Where is the N64 2 with 2.0, with whatever you want to call it? I don't know, some next generation junk that got some killer stuff that's bringing to the table. New controller layout, new, I'm not even saying first person shooter. Make your own industry. Make a huge cut. I don't care what genre you gotta focus on. Make something happen, because you ain't made nothing happen in a long time, Nintendo. Seriously. And point number 3, to wrap up this video and not make this thing too long. Point number 3. You want to talk about milk, and people complain about Dragon Ball and other series getting milk. No. The milk is Nintendo milks to death. It makes my eyes bleed, the amount of milking that they do. The others are literally bleeding off the golden cow, the cash cow. Okay, the cow is no longer gold. Okay, all that, it's just gold dust. Mario's been milked to hell. Sonic's been milked to hell. Pretty much every franchise tag. Metroid milked to hell. Mega Man milked to hell. All these things have just been milked and milked and milked and continuously milked to death. And then some. It's not that you don't have your characters. It's the fact that you've done everything and then you repeat and give us the same game over and over. And you have Nintendo fanboys. Oh, it's Super Mario 10! When it's the exact same Super Mario as it was 1 through 5, and then a little bit more with 5 through 10, with 6 through 9. Stuff like that. I don't know the actual game, but y'all get my point. Mega Man 20. What was different than Mega Man 10? I mean, come on. This was the kind of stuff I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. No revolutionary stuff. Just the same old, same old, same old boring. New characters, new franchises. Look what Sony did. Crash Bandicoot, arguably the most, Oh yeah, what about Kirby? Use Kirby, because you could do so much more with Kirby universe. But no, we're not going to do that. God forbid we do that. What Xbox do? Xbox, PlayStation, whatever. Mortal Kombat, up the ante. Tekken, up the ante. Brought back Killer Instinct, up the ante. Crash Bandicoot, pretty much retired. They made Legendary series with Crash, and then the offshoot games, the spin-off games, and yet you don't see them pushing out Spyro, Tomb Raider. You see Final Fantasy, and even though I have my friend broke it down to me, and they made it fresh. All these series, Halo, which I knew Halo 3 was in, that was some nonsense. All these series, Call of Duty, depends on which game you play, because there's different companies, so there's an issue there. But all these series, Assassin's Creed, God of War, the God of War, so many series that are fresh, iconic characters. Where is it, Nintendo? Seriously, what are you bringing to the table that's supposed to get fans, into it? Another point that I forgot to mention earlier when I talked about tradition is that it has one of the most loyal fan bases. It's arguably the most loyal fan base in video game history. This fan base, through all the thick and thin, the BS and what the foolishness that was pulled, it's still there for the people. It's still there for the people. The people are still there for it. Excuse me. I'm saying it's still there for the people. The fact that the company's still around, the fact that they can produce and whatever, but the people are still supporting. The fanboys are still there. They're hardcore. Sometimes stars, but they're hardcore. But besides that, fans of video games such as myself, what reason? New video gamers coming into the game, coming of age, why they supposed to spend money on your products? Unless you're going to bring something fire. I'm not even asking for Legendary. I'm just saying something fire, something fresh to the table. Especially in this age of stagnation. I don't even know if this is the silver age of video gaming right now. I don't know. But video game, we need something. We need something serious. And Nintendo, it's your time to rise and shine. Unexpected one to like, comment, subscribe, tell me your thoughts. I know this video may have run long for a few of y'all, but things need to be said. Cut the BS and require quality. Again, there's a few quality games along the way, but a few ain't cutting it. Few does not cut in this day and age. No. Especially when you have a storied history like Nintendo. Alright, y'all. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night. Peace.